Howdy, y'all. It's Cody from the Keepers Nerdum. How you doing? Well, it's finally Codex has hit for the Necrons, and I thought, you know what? It's probably time to reevaluate the rankings because things have changed for quite a few of these pieces quite considerably. Um, yeah, Necrons are fascinating. Here's the interesting thing that you need to understand: Necrons now are not in an actual bad place in placement. In fact, I think they may be close to like top tier kind of stuff, and that doesn't bode well for the fact that Games Workshop just isn't necessarily doing the right things. So let's review these things, but just keep that in mind that we went from low rankings like 48% or something, 47 in wins, which isn't bad, it's just lower, to probably close to I'll be honest, I think the Canoptic Court may very well rival the Eldar stuff for scoring points and being able to really just be pretty nasty. So let's go through here. First one, right off the bat, Anrakir the Traveler. He is unfortunately now an F tier because he doesn't exist anymore. He might be a Legends at this point technically, but he's gone, and it's really just a frustrating thing that they deleted some of these characters that there wasn't a good reason to just take them away. There really wasn't. Um, just throwing it out there. So he's gone. I don't know that he was anything super great, but I just it saddens me because he's just not. You can't just find his data sheet on the even Wahapedia anymore, and it's a sad day. So our next one though is Orkin the Diviner, and I believe I put him in S tier last time, and he still is an S tier. He's actually the most important of, other than maybe Technomancer, the Cryptex, just because he makes that four up invuln save happen for warriors still. Quite fantastic, and anybody that's still sleeping on his once per game just Wreck-It Ralph mode is missing out. And now we have a new model, so if you want the new one, you can go for the old one. Either way, he is a beautiful piece that will make for quite an interesting story of, oh, this little guy, especially the old piece, he is shorter and smaller. This little thing just all of a sudden went Hulk and raged and destroyed everything. Crazy stuff. All right. Yeah, still amazing. Just gives so much power to the warriors and keeps them actually survivable, and he's the closest thing we have to really making them tanky. So he himself is still good, and he just continues for me to be impressive because he continues to be able to elite things that other stuff struggles through, or it's like, man, it's going to take several turns to get rid of, and he's over here going, bet. Right? It's just amazing to me. So next thing, Locust Destroyers. This is a hard one because I really like these things. I'd say they're A tier only because the only reason they're not S tier is they don't have some sort of like invuln save or a feel no pain or something like that, but they have the ability to do significant damage to medium and even heavy infantry because of their lethal hits capabilities, especially with a Locust Lord with them. It's fantastic. Very, very good unit to use, and will just continue to be amazing as long as they don't get points increased like crazy. All right, Imhotep the Stormlord. He is definitely A tier at least. You could make a case for S tier. He gets you your CP, which is very necessary now, so I think that might be why he could be S tier. He doesn't attack necessarily very hard, but he does have his Gauntlet of Command, and let's pull him up really quickly because I love Imhotep the Stormlord. I mean, we got a new model for him. He has the Staff of Destroyer and the Gauntlet of Fire, so really he does have quite a few ranged attacks, and one of those has AP -3 with 2 damage on it. And in close combat, he has 4 attacks. It's the fact that he can get CP back, and also during the command phase he can do once per game this attack for everybody that's within 12 inches and do mortal wounds. It's hard because I could see him being S tier. It's just there's other things that take his place now, and it's hard to sometimes justify him. Yeah. All right. So the old Technomancer, And ironically, the Technomancer now is S tier because of who he goes with now. He goes with the Wraiths, and that makes them insane. And holy cow, he's quite the booger. Um, very very cool stuff there because he gives them a 5-up feel no pain. He moves the same as they do. He's very strong. He's not crazy durable, but he's strong because of the defensive boosts and also the fact that he can attach the race and heal them as well. And because of that, also he can take in the Canoptic Court while he helps them with the power matrix. He also gives them something crazy as far as just ability. Just crazy because you can add on to him an equipment that then gives him something absolutely insane. All right, so yeah, just quite the things with Technomancer now. He went to S tier crazily easily. Vargard Oberon, one of my favorite pieces. He unfortunately goes down to F tier right now because he's now a Legends. I'm still going to play him as long as he's Legends because he'll still go with my Lichguard and stuff. But unfortunately, in competitive and stuff, he doesn't exist, and it really stinks. The Fight's First ability was amazing with him. Just a fun unit, and especially with all the Cryptex gone, it's like, so what can really join Lichguard? And it's so limited, and it's so frustrating because now we have Overlords and I think Royal Wardens. And the answer is no. Looks like just Overlords. Lichguard got so screwed over. It's so stupid. And why did they do it? The answer is to make money. It totally is. If you don't believe that, you're not paying attention to anything at all. Just saying. The Lord also F tier because he again doesn't exist. It's very sad. But the Locust Lord somehow survives this culling, which is amazing. And honestly, he is an A tier right with the Locusts Destroyers, and because he works with the Locust Destroyers and the Locust Heavies, and especially with the Locust Destroyers, just so amazing because he gives them a 5 and 6 for their critical hits, which really gives them that lethal hits epicness. And man, some good stuff that they're not necessarily great in the Canoptic Court because they're not Canoptech, but pretty interesting. All right, Triarch Praetorians. I think they're better than they were, and at least say they're C tier. They're usable in the obeisance phalanx, I believe, and that's all right, but not a thing that I'm really super concerned about. Catacomb Command Barge. I have never been drawn to this, so I'm going to put it in C tier, and nothing about it has still to this day called to me like, yes, this is a useful thing that really makes for some useful abilities. I'm good. No thanks. So let's look it up just in case if there's anything I'm missing, because unfortunately there are some of these things that they fall through the cracks because sometimes there's better stuff. They do give one to the OC of characters of models in that unit. That's actually pretty important. I'm going to put it at least at B tier because that has some use, right? Because that could give Scarab Swarm some interesting ability. Triarch Stalker, unfortunately, is C tier at best. Probably, honestly, D tier. Still doesn't have a good enough weapon, but it's cool. It's so cool. Tesseract Vault. C tier. Reason being, not because it's not powerful, because it is, but it's very expensive, and also what you're getting is something that's really hard to move around on certain boards. And that's the one thing I would say is just the cautionary note. Maybe Hypercrypt Legion could make that useful, but then you also have to have this massive footprint to land it, right? That's the problem. Yeah. Just keep in mind that that's a risk you play with that thing. Locust Heavy Destroyers, also A tier. Never mind. They're S tier. Reason being, they have a 6 damage weapon that has a pretty significant range, 48 inches, I believe. They are fantastic, and I recommend them to everybody. Yeah, the 48-inch Cost Destructor, at the very least. Their Enigmatic Exterminator is still actually pretty solid, awesome, but it's against small targets, whereas their other thing is strength 14, minus 4 AP, 6 damage. You know, you only get 3 shots with a full squad of them, but those 3 shots, even if 2 go through, right, you are talking about a very significant hit. And I think that's fascinatingly powerful. It is, and I love it. Like that is some really cool stuff. And they are lethal hits, so you could put a Locust Lord with them and have those as 5s and 6s, and just have to bypass a wound roll. And also, if they're using their Gauss Destructor that targets a monster or a vehicle, they reroll a wound roll of 1. So even though they do have lethal hits, they do get that extra reroll on a wound roll of 1, and often with a strength 14, it's going to be hitting on a 3-up pretty easily. So just something to keep in mind. These things are really good, and they hit far above what people expect. The only weakness of them is they're not very durable. I see them perish quite often. Hexmark Destroyer, he is nowhere near where he used to be, but I think he's still interesting, and at least he's a B tier. He can't keep shooting over and over, and that's the sad thing with him. He's like 1 time per turn, and man, that's frustrating. Yeah, once per turn, 1 unit. So yeah, he's got the fire overwatch once, and once per turn in your opponent's shooting phase when enemy unit makes a ranged attack, targets somebody within 3 inches of him, then he can, 1 model can shoot with this. It's sad what they did to him. And yeah, only 1 damage still on the pistols, and now they ignore cover, which is great, honestly, instead of precision, because I've never found the precision to be actually that very useful. Necron Warriors, man, they were S tier. They really were, with all the buffs, and now they lost Cryptothralls and just a lot of layers. I still say, I really do, I think they're still an A tier thing, but you have to really build around them, and that's got to be the thing you have to keep in mind. So just keep that in mind. All right. Scarabs, I'd say they're B tier. They have their uses as a cheap screen, right? So you can get only a group of 6 of them now instead of, was it 9 in the last edition, which was just a sweet spot. It really was. And now that just really hurt them. Makes me sad, but they're cheap. If it ever loads, let's see how much, because I can't remember exactly how much they were. They are amazing though. Load, there we go. For 6 models, it's 80 points, and there's 4 wounds each, so you've got a lot, right? It's 24 wounds. Like this is a good thing. They have they subtract 1 from the OC of people within their range of them. And while this unit is within 6 inches of a Cryptek model, they go up to OC1, which is interesting, right? So they drop those things down and could take it or help with it. They have 6 attacks each with lethal hits, right? It's very interesting what they can do, and also they can do some mortal wounds potentially, and with vehicles get an even better +1 to the result of the roll. Pretty cool that they could do some mortal wounds, but you have to destroy 1. They're interesting, and I'd say in the right hands, if they're piloted well, they can be an 8 or top of B tier for now. But I think they're going to be pretty awesome. Void Dragon, holy cow! I think unfortunately everything has changed now, and I say that not in a bad way, but it's just unfortunate because they're just wanting money. Void Dragon is an S tier, 5-up Feel No Pain. Crazy anti-vehicle. If you can get him in there, and now he's much more durable with the 5 Feel No Pain, ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Chronomancer, the Scoot and Shoot is still amazing. I'd say he is an A tier pretty easily. I don't know if I'd say S tier. A lot of people say it's awesome, and I get the idea of hiding stuff, but I think there's a better thing to put with those things that you want to shoot and scoot, because Necron Warriors, unless you're going with the Gauss, whichever one's the 24 inches now, it's just not going to be that useful. I would rather put a Royal Warden and Orkin, honestly. Just personal preference there. Flayed ones, they are infiltrators. I'd say they're B tier, and that's a good use. They do have some good melee. But Ophidian Destroyers can also jump around the board, do secondaries. They are easily A tier still. Just really, really solid. make a case for S tier pretty, I think, convincingly, but I don't know. Um, Overlord with, let's go to Overlord itself, the regular one first off. This is an older version of the model. He's it's so funny now. He's like a B tier model because they literally came out with the exact same model but with an ability, and he's just the worst version. So it's like, why use him? But then now I've got like a customized Overlord with my Staff of Light because I just wanted him with a Staff of Light and a Resurrection Orb. And now it's going, okay, but you could take the actual good one, which is the Overlord with the Translocation Shroud, and unfortunately he is an S tier for, especially for Immortals, but also even Necron Warriors, because he guarantees that they advance 6 inches, and if you can make sure that their weaponry has Assault, so for Immortals they have Assault on their Tesla weapons, all of a sudden he just gets crazy. He does have his Resurrection Orb, which isn't as good anymore, but still, just the fact that you can guarantee, 5-inch move, then a 6-inch advance, so 11 inches plus the range that's now up to 24 on those Teslas. It's just silly. And I don't think, nothing on those has advance. And Royal Warden, can Royal Warden go with him? I think he can. No. So if you take Royal Warden, then you can take a Cryptek. And honestly, Royal Wardens are crazy. We'll talk about them in a second. Should be on our list somewhere. Oh, yeah, there's an Overlord with Resurrection Orb. So basically, we'll just pretend that's an Overlord with the Resurrection Orb. We have an old Cryptek. You know what? We're going to dump him back off of here because I found the new Technomancer, and he's just prettier. Easily S tier. All right. Doomsday Arc, dropped in points, higher strength, crazy. These are S tier. They have an invuln save. They're pretty tough. They're pretty durable. It's kind of ridiculous. Okay, Plasma Sight. Just use Doomsday Arcs unless you're using Canoptic Court, then use Doomstalkers. Plasma Sight, it's not really a unit, but it's just built in. So honestly, it's wherever the Ophidian Destroyers are because it just can go with them and help them. And it's, unfortunately, the Scorpec Destroyers are just not as fast or have a teleport. They hit hard, and so they're C tier. I haven't used them in a long time because they just die. If they even get anywhere near anything, they just explode. And you're like, what just happened? I don't know. I just realized that wasn't actually the Triarch Praetorians. So let's put the Triarch Praetorians up here, and this is actually the Lich Guard with the War Scythe. But really, let's talk about, at this point, they're much cheaper, but they can only have an Overlord, which I guess they could have the Translocation Shroud, right? Join them. Let's put them down here for just a second. So, side note, why not use the Translocation Shroud with them? The answer is you should, and it's just frustrating because and plus they only have the Overlord's Blade, so they only have a melee weapon. And if you advance, then you cannot charge, right? So, but you get that 0 CP once per battle round thing for one unit. Kind of interesting. But an extra awesome hard-hitting attack. Swords and boards at this point are the best option because then they're actually more durable. But the Lich Guard lost a lot in their defenses. I would still say at best they're a B tier, but they lost so much. It's so frustrating. So let's talk about why really it's just Games Workshop trying to make more money. Wraiths, they decided, you know what, they're not being bought very much because Lich Guard are amazing. And so then they went, Wraiths are the better version of Lich Guard, and didn't increase in points. They can get a 5-up Feel No Pain, they get an extra wound, one group of them can start up on the board as an infiltrator. They have a ranged weapon as well as close combat. They may not hit as hard necessarily as Lich Guard, but yet they have both, two weaponries, range and close. And there's some other stuff. I think it's in the Hypercrypt or the Canoptic Court where they can actually scoot back if something tries to charge them. Some crazy thing like that. It's insane. They're just ridiculous. And I mean, obviously, I'd like to actually have some of those, but yet not like this, and they're going to get nerfed. They're going to go up in points. Something's going to change drastically. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Games Workshop, for just derping. It's stupid. Illuminor Xeris, a little bit changed on him. He got slightly nerfed, but honestly, he's still solid. But the unfortunate thing is the things he buffs just aren't as good. I'd still say he's A tier because he is cheaper now, and he's, he makes those warriors and the immortals tougher. It's good, all right? Tomb Blades. Tomb Blades are not as durable now, but they can jump, they can shoot and scoot, they can do all sorts of things, they can claim secondaries. They truly are S tier. And all right, let's keep this going. All right. Yeah, just Illuminor's Eris just doesn't buff the things that are as good anymore, and that's kind of interesting. And Tomb Blades now are amazing. It's just they shoot, they scoot, they jump, they do whatever they need to. As long as you have one with Tesla, you're going to do amazing. They get to move 6 inches after they shoot for free as long as you equip them the right way. They get to have Scouts 9. It's ridiculous. They change drastically in a crazy way. Annihilation Barge, again, kind of C tier. There's just better things. There's just better things that you're like, why would I take that over this? Let me pull it up, though. What's the points on an Annihilation Barge? And the answer is, because it's 200 points for Doomsday Arc, 115 for Annihilation Barge, so about half. But it's only minus 2 AP with 2 damage for the top heavy-hitting weapon. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's just not a good... It's just not good. Meh. Yeah. Twin Tesla Destructor. Very interesting there. So, I don't know. I don't know why you would use that. So, the Twin Tesla Destructor, I guess it has those too. And it does have the arcing thing. So it's got some use there, but honestly, there's just better stuff with more range. Because the Gauss cannons on this are only 24 inches. That makes no sense. So stupid. Anyway. Alright, Death Marks. Yeah, these are A tier easily. They're really solid. They can jump around. They can hit pretty decently hard. Nice. Spiders. Low B tier at best. They help heal some stuff, and that's about it. Yay. Canoptic spiders, just they have not been helped. They can get scarab swarms back. Cool. Cool. They can give a feel no pain of 6 up to vehicles. That's something, I guess. Yeah, and then within 6 inches of feel no pain of 5 up against mortal wounds and psychic attacks to any Necrons unit. The Gloom Prison is cool. That is helpful. Just some thoughts there, but it's 150 for 2 of them, 75 points. It's an investment. They're not bad. They're just not good. Immortals are crazy. They're at the bottom of S tier right now with their apparently Tesla carbines. Insanity. Makes no sense. It's just plain nuttiness. All right, let's keep moving. Nightbringer. Also, with the Shard of the Void Dragon, he hits like a truck now because now it's D6 plus 2 instead of D6 for his damage. And he has a feel no pain. He's a little slow, but man, you get it there. Crazy. The Deceiver, he's just not as good as the other ones. That's all I'm saying. That's it. So, Psychomancer, still crappy. I just put him honestly D tier. He just sucks. And we're moving past the Overlord. Trazyn the Infinite, also at D tier. Still lame. Doesn't care. Reanimator. Okay, this thing was like S tier, I believe, or close to that. And now I'd still say he's upper B tier at least because he still heals. It's just not as useful because of how the healing has changed. But it is still useful. That's all. All right, Nimistor Xandrek. Again, he has to unfortunately go in F tier because they took him out, and it's stupid. Monolith. Monolith is easily an A tier. It still hits like a truck. I just wish I had an invuln save. It's amazing still in ways. It now has a Hypercrypt Legion that's built around the idea. The Obelisk. Yep, still F. It's behind all the things that got deleted because it still sucks. But it does have the Transcendent Katana there, so we'll use it for a separate one in a bit. Silent King, I'd still say he's B tier. They just didn't do anything for him really, and yay, he's still like he buffs stuff, but he's just there, and I don't want to use him for his points. He'll come out eventually someday, but Plasmancer, that sounds right. This guy with the Tesla boys, he himself isn't great, but with Teslas, he all of a sudden makes them even or with the Immortal, with their carbines, the Tesla carbines, makes their crit hits 5s and 6s, so more sustained hits, and then you can use a stratagem to give them dev wounds and also their canoptics, so that way at the canoptic court they get to potentially reroll the hit rolls, so you can get those 5s and 6s like crazy. And sustain hits 2 if memory serves. It's just madness. Scorpec Lord, he just goes wherever the Scorpec Destroyers go because yippee, he's whatever. Cryptothralls, this is a really sad thing. I'll be honest, I just think they're F tier. They're just not a thing I want to use, and they suck, and it's sad. It's really, really sad. Oh, I did get Canoptic Doomstalker right here. Canoptic Doomstalker easily is A tier. My bad. I thought that was Reanimator. So Reanimator goes down here in B tier. The Doomstalker is fantastic, especially in the Canoptic Court, maybe even S tier. It's just the Doomstalker is not as multi-purpose as the Doomsday Arc. Doomsday Arc can just kind of go in whatever group and just be fine. You know, Awakened Dynasty, it still loves, right? As long as you have something around it to give it the +1 to hit. But if it's not moving anyway, it could get heavy. So just a thought. Yeah, Doomstalker, though, in the Canoptic Court just gets some crazy reroll shenanigans, and you can have them for a lot cheaper. How many points are they? Because the Doomsday Arc's 200. I've never gotten a Canoptic Doomstalker yet, because at the time in 9th when I started really playing, they sucked. They were just kind of there. 135, so not quite half, but for 2 you could get them for 270. So a little bit more investment than one Doomstalker or Doomsday Arc, but you get an attack that's -3 AP instead of -4, and 3 damage instead of 4 damage with D6 +1 shots, just like the Doomsday cannon on the Doomsday Arc. It's pretty useful. It does have an invuln save. It's got 12 wounds too. It's not bad. It could do some work. It's not multi-purpose. That's the only reason I put it in A. Doom Scythe. Man, it's B tier. You know what? Reanimators, I think it's still yeah. Doom Scythe I think is better than it was because it has a little bit more ability. Let's go lower. It's just unfortunately it just has no cover, so it just gets shot off the board. Ghost Arc, honestly, kind of lame. All right, let's keep moving. Acanthrites, Canoptic Court, I could see some use, so we'll put them in A. They have the abilities to, what is it they do? Is it Scout? I think it's Scout. Acanthrites. There we go. Can't remember. Infiltrators, that's what it is. And on a critical wound, improve the AP after they shoot something for other models that they attack. That's interesting. They have a cutting beam that's really high AP with some random damage, which is cool. So you have 6 of them for 170 points, and a void blade with 3 attacks. It's cool. Like, these are neat, but they have 2 wounds. They have a 3-up save. It's toughness 5, 12-inch move. So yeah, it's cool. It's just I like them. I do. I would love to have some. Maybe someday. I might have to order them off-brand because those things are expensive. All right, the Seraptic Heavy Construct, I'd still say it's at least a B tier, definitely above that. It's cool, and I would love to have one. Eventually I will, but not quite yet. It's just not... It's just expensive, and they did nerf it pretty quickly after the edition started. We're missing something really important. Let's scroll down here for a second. I'm not going to hit all this stuff from the Forge World because most of it's just not that good. We've hit the important pieces just there. There's the Tomb Stalker and Triarch Stalker. Not Triarch Stalker, Tomb Sentinel. And my understanding is one of them is really, really solid, and I'll at least put them in A tier, and I can't remember which one's which as far as the image, but they have some play in the Canoptic Court because of that, and they have some use there. I think there's other things, though. Unfortunately, Wraiths just make everything look ridiculous. Where is it? It's this. Okay. This will be our Transcendent Catan. We'll just use it as the image, and Transcendent Catans... Ironically, they lost the ability to get the 4-up Feel No Pain and gained a 5-up Feel No Pain inherently. And so you can run 3 of these guys on the board and teleport them on their own. They can just advance and jump wherever they want with it, not within 9 inches of other people. They're so you could have 3 of them with a 5 field of pain and 4 up invuln save, having damage. They don't have as nearly as much damage potential as Void Dragon or Nightbringer by any means, or even the Deceiver potentially, but it doesn't matter because they can actually get in there and control the battle. So Transcendent is ridiculous, just ridiculous. And I think even though he's slightly less survivable, he's actually going to be more of a threat because you can actually have more of them out there. And it's like, that's fine. You dealt with one of them, but now you have the other 2 if you're doing all 3, right? Just completely annihilating and controlling the battle here. Pure crazy there. Yeah. So I'm looking real quick at the Tomb Sentinel, Exile Cannon, 18 range, D6 plus 1 shots, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. Cool. The Sentinel Claws are terrible. Okay, if it's within an objective marker, it gets minus 1 AP from the attacks of other people at it. And if he attacks something within range, then he improves his AP by 1. And he has a Gloom Prism. Really? Huh. But it's only for psychic attacks. Feel no pain 4 up. Interesting. I could see that being useful. It's kind of fun. Let's try the Stalker real quick. Gauss Slicers. 8 attacks, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. And then it actually has minus 1 AP on its Stalker Claws. That's cool. Sane hits 1. You can target this unit with the Heroic Intervention Strategy for 0 CP and do so even if you've already used that strategy. Oh, that's fun. Just charge into something. 4 up and won't save 130 points for 9 wounds. Has a Gloom Prism as well. Interesting. It's more expensive. I think it's the Tomb Sentinel then. That's the one that people want to use, I'm guessing. Really interesting. Yeah, Tomb Sentinel I could see being A tier and not Tomb Stalker. Maybe B tier. I think we've covered just about everything that's in the Codex still. We've lost a few things, but yeah, what do you think about the changes here? Do you agree? Is it better, worse? Are you excited? Are you nervous? You sad? You happy with the changes? Honestly, here's a weird thought, right? I'm frustrated at these changes because it really screams, give us more money, please, even though we are a better, like, on the board. Even though warriors are now not survivable, which is really frustrating. Right? That's the thing. With just some small tweaks, Necrons would have been just fine. If Lich Guard were too strong, just do some small nerfs, right? Some points increases, something. Taking the ability for them to even get Canoptic or Cryptex at all, taking the Crypto Thralls completely away in their use at all, because now they don't give a feel no pain. They got 1 extra wound for that. That's not a value at all. That just makes your reanimation that also got nerfed not useful, right? It's just stupid. Logic doesn't work here. So ironically, we're better on the board, but somebody pointed out, like, one of the top teams that won was very heavy Wraith spam and Catan spam. Well, yeah, you could have 3 Transcendent Catans, Void Dragon, Nightbringer, and you could do Deceiver, and 3 squads of Wraiths, right? With being led by Technomancers. Holy crap. That's insane. So even though the Deceiver isn't amazing, he does hit harder than... does he? And at character 4+, I guess. That's interesting. Devastating wounds, precision. Huh. He doesn't hit real hard comparatively to some of these other things, but doesn't really need to whenever you've got something like Transcendent Catan that can just get up there. Honestly, Transcendent Catan can do some crazy stuff. D6 of damage, right? The Start of the Deceiver does 3 damage on his melee, but a D6 of damage, yeah, it's not reliable necessarily, but when it hits that 6, that one time you need it to, makes for some nasty stuff. Just his teleport shenanigans, man, it's crazy. We've got something insane here, and he just has Deep Strike inherently built in. Pure craziness. pure craziness. So what do you think? Do you agree with the thing? Oh yeah, and also Transcendent Catan went down 25 points and gained a 5-up Feel No Pain. He's gonna get nerfed. He has to. It's just silly. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you agree with my assessments here? And if not, why not? And if so, how come? But thank you so much for joining me. Like, share, and subscribe. It's been fun just getting to talk with you all and do some ranking together. Take care. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us at the Keepers of Nerdom. Bye, y'all.